For a perfectly competitive industry, we're going to look at the short run and the long run changes that occur both as for the market overall and for the individual firm. The key changes are what happens to the price level and what happens to the output level, and the letter Q is going to be used to designate the output. So if we have side-by-side graphs, one for the market and the other for one typical firm in that marketplace, so we know that price is established by the market. So in this case we have equilibrium price of PO, equilibrium quantity of QO. And in the firm, we know the firm is a price taker. It's a perfect elastic demand curve. So we call that P equals D equals the marginal revenue. Let's assume a normal profit. If it's a normal profit, we know that price is going to equal ATC, the average total cost. So for the firm, to maximize profit, we know we set MR equal to MC. So this horizontal curve is the marginal revenue curve, just doing the marginal cost curve. So I'm going to call that little QO. That's going to be the quantity that this one firm is going to provide in the marketplace. And if P equals ATC, therefore it intersects ATC at its minimum. This is a long-run equilibrium. Because the firms are making a normal profit, there should be no reason for additional firms to enter the marketplace or for firms to leave the marketplace since there's a normal profit. So the price and quantity should both remain there in the market and for the firm. But suppose there is a change in demand. So let's say demand increases due to an increase in income. If demand increases in the marketplace, that's going to be an increase in demand by rightward shift in demand curve. And of course, if demand goes up, we have a higher price and a higher quantity. And since the firm is a price taker, we have a new price demand marginal revenue curve. And if we set MR equal to MC again, we'll have that point, call that Q1. So we can see in the short run, both for the market and the firm, price increases and output increases. This is true both for the market and for the firm. But things are going to change because right now if we look at the firm, we have an economic profit. It's greater than zero. If we look at the Q1 quantity, we know it's going to be the intersection of Q1 and the ATC curve. So at that point I just drew in. Since price P1 is higher than ATC, there's an economic profit. So the question is, what happens when there's an economic profit? Well, an economic profit is going to lead to more firms entering the marketplace. Since there are no barriers to entry, you need to make sure you state that in a perfectly competitive market, there are no barriers to entry, therefore new firms are going to enter the marketplace. So the supply is going to increase in the market. And I could do gradual increase in supply so that the price comes down, but I'm going to do it correctly in the first time. I'm going to increase the supply so we get back to the original equilibrium price. Supply increases a little bit, price will come down in the market, but not enough. But if we keep going, if I put this point to get us back to price PO, we have a new supply curve, S1. So as we can see, our quantity continues to increase. So the whole way through, we have an increase in quantity, but the price initially went up in the market from PO to P1, but it's going to come down back to PO. So for the firm, when the increase in supply takes us to PO, the firm is a price taker, so return to that initial P curve. We set MR equal MC, we come back to QO. So you can see what happens to the firm, that the output, although initially increased, it is going to decrease. So for the long run, if we start at equilibrium with the normal profit, in the long run, what's going to happen to price? Price is going to return to the original equilibrium level where there was the normal profit. Overall output, though, is going to increase. So for the long run, if I start you off at a normal profit, and if demand increases, price is going to come back to the original level, but quantity is going to increase. So for the long run, for the firm, what happens if we started off at a normal profit? Price is actually going to first increase, but then price decreases. But your answer is, in the long run for the firm, price returns to the initial equilibrium level. What happens to output? Well, for the firm, output initially increased, but then as more firms enter the market and the price decreases, when we said MR equal MC, the quantity is going to go back down, and it also returns to the initial equilibrium level. So the question is, how does this make sense? How can it be for the firm, output returns back to the original level? Once again, original level only if we started off the long run equilibrium of normal profit, whereas for the market, how can it be that output increased? Well, the answer is, of course, since their supply increased, there are more firms than before in the marketplace. So there are more firms that are producing the same amount as before. Therefore, when more firms produce the same amount as before, overall in the market, the output increases. Just be cautious, as if I started you at an above average profit. So we have a price taker for the firm, PMR. Marginal cost, everything's the same. We set MR equal to marginal cost to get our maximum profit output. There's an economic profit. P is above ATC. But this is not a long-run equilibrium. Right? This is a short run with above average profits. So you don't want to say, for the long run, what happens to the firm. You don't want to say they return to their initial level, because the initial level we started you at is not the long run level. So if they're economic profits, the same thing is going to happen. Supply is going to increase, no restrictions. The price is going to come down, because we did not start you at an equilibrium price. The firm is a price taker, and I drew this so it will work out correctly the first time. Firm is price taker. We set MR equal to MC. So notice here, we're back to a normal profit, but the firm, its output did decrease from where it was. Notice the price, though, for both decrease. You don't want to say return to the initial level because I started you at a point outside the normal profit.